The semifinal is set. You got Penn State, Notre Dame. Notre Dame right now favored by 1.5. We're going to give you our prediction on this game a little bit later, but I want us to right now just take a quick look at the matchups in this game, some things that we're thinking about ahead of this game. The styles between these two teams are fascinating to me. I'll talk about them in a second, but first things first, make sure you are subscribed right here to the On3 YouTube channel. Penn State fans, Notre Dame fans. We're going to talk a lot about this matchup going forward. Want you all the way dialed in. Best way to be dialed in is by making sure you are subscribed. So stylistically here, I think it's really intriguing. Penn State has got some Cheesecake Factory to them, right? Big menu. You get a little Pizookie, a little deep dish pizza. You get a chicken sandwich. I mean, you got Drew Aller. You got the run game. You got a defense that is all over the place. Abdul Carter. You got Tyler Warren. There's a very stacked menu, a lot to account for, a lot to look at with Penn State. You got Notre Dame, who's kind of got some in-and-out vibes to them. We do one thing. We do it really well. We do it at a high level, burgers and fries. We have some other things baked in there, too. There's a secret menu. We got the Neapolitan shake. You can go 3x3, 4x4, some animal style on the fries. We got some trickeration, some quarterback grittiness up our sleeve to us. But like at the end of the day, man, that really is the styles to me. It's Cheesecake Factory versus In-N-Out. So one of the things that I'm watching along with that, kind of in that vein, is like how much pop do you get from the things on the menu from Penn State? Like I think we talk about how good the Notre Dame defense is, and we should. They're gosh darn elite. If you don't believe me, go watch the Georgia game. But the best weapons that Notre Dame has played in this college football playoff is going to be in this game. Like Tyler Warren is a matchup nightmare. Him and Xavier Watts, that back and forth, it can be a heavyweight fight. That's NFL and NFL. I cannot wait to watch that. To me, if I'm Penn State, like this is the Drew Aller, Andy Koltanecki game. It has to be. And my mind can't help but go back to earlier in the year, Penn State welcomes in Ohio State. And if you're a Penn State fan, you lose that game, you don't score an offensive touchdown, and you left the game with all the red zone trips you had with empty possessions, and you're like, man, it felt like we left a few bullets in the chamber. Felt like maybe we left a few too many plays in the playbook. Maybe we could have ordered a little bit more heavily off that menu. That cannot be the game. It hasn't been the game when you talk about Boise State, talk about SMU, and they don't have to do much against SMU. The Oregon game in the Big Ten Championship, even though they lost, was really impressed by the offense. The offense, not only now, starting to kind of catch its stride. With how good this Notre Dame defense is from a personnel perspective, I think you got to get a little bit creative. I don't think it's a thing where you just say, for the duration of 4 quarters, our guys versus your guys, let's throw the ball up and see what we can do. Now, you may win that way. Like I just mentioned the personnel, how good it is in Katron Allen and Nick Singleton. Like there's a world now where that ends up being a game that Penn State wins. But if it's me, as of right now, how far we are removed from this game actually happening, I'd love to see a little bit of juice on the offensive side. I'd love to see Drew Aller meet the moment, as he has really for the duration of this playoffs, and be the reason why Penn State wins this football game. All right, now on the flip side of that, talking about the defense for Notre Dame, this is the game that I think will test you the most schematically and test your discipline the most. Notre Dame was not worried at all about the Georgia weapons. Now, I don't blame them, man. I mean, they played downhill in the box, played man coverage on the perimeter, and took Georgia to school. I mean, it was a clinic. I mean, passing out T-shirts and juice boxes afterwards. It was that kind of vibe from the Notre Dame defense against Georgia. Can you recreate that kind of discipline and that kind of, just grittiness and simplicity, if you will, in your scheme against a offense in Penn State that is anything but simplistic in their approach? So that's the first thought I have around this game. The other thought is like, what's the table setting like for Notre Dame offensively in the trenches? Like, are they able to get something up front and have that push? Because Penn State defensive line is ridiculous. Like Abdul Carter, I understand he's a little bit dinged up. He's putting out some nuggets on social media about his, recuperation process, if you will. I'm sure he's eating his Wheaties, taking his vitamins, and wearing his Normatec boots. That will be a tremendous battle, obviously, because, in any major college football game, the trenches kind of tell the story. But the reason why I asked that question is I think what happens in those trenches for Notre Dame's offense will be a major indicator of what happens downstream and what you ask of Riley Leonard. Because Riley Leonard against Georgia threw for 90 yards. If you were to tell me Riley Leonard's going to throw for 90 yards and Gunnar Stockton, the opposing quarterback's going for over 200 and not throw an interception, I'd be like, dang, okay, Notre Dame probably took an L then. No, that was a winning stat line for Riley Leonard because he ran for 80 yards. So what I'm trying to say here is Notre Dame finds a great way to just create something up front in the run game. And when they're able to create something in the run game with a Riley Leonard or with a Love or anyone else in that running back room, you're able to live in more third and manageable, second and medium. When that happens, again, what we ask of Riley Leonard is very different than 3rd and 7+. 3rd and 7+ is like, hey, we probably got to find a way to throw the football. You know it. We know it. Penn State knows it. Penn State does a great job getting after the passer. Not a great way to live. On the flip side of that, though, living in 3rd and short, we also know what's going to happen there. Riley Leonard's going to probably do a little jet sweep action, get north and south, maybe jump over a dude, first down Irish, here we go. Staying ahead of the chains is going to be huge in any college football game, especially with how these teams are built and how good Penn State is up front. That's going to be massive for Notre Dame in this spot. Now, philosophically here, I think there's a very interesting conversation to be had about the paths that both these teams have taken to get here. Notre Dame has gone through the ringer a little bit here. Forget the regular season. That is what it is. I think they were in playoff mode really since week 2, and Marcus Freeman has essentially said as much. But Notre Dame beat 2 really good line of scrimmage teams in Indiana and Georgia. Penn State, on the other hand, has been on the scoreboard dominant. They were dominant in a literal sense against SMU. They ended up kind of pulling away from Boise State. But those are 2 rosters that aren't living in the same area code as Penn State. No disrespect to Boise State or SMU. That's just the reality. There's nobody that even resembles a Katron Allen or a Nick Singleton or an Abdul Carter. I shouldn't say that. Ashton Genty's really, really good. There's nobody that I think is pound for pound across the board for Penn State able to match up with what they brought to the table in each of those 2 playoff games outside of an Ashton Genty. Okay, you hear what I'm saying. So how much does that impact this game? Because we talk a lot about on this show how much being under the heavy bar can benefit you in the college football playoff world or in the college football world period. Like having to go through some resistance when it comes to who you're playing against more often than not is going to serve you well when you have to play big-time meaningful football. Notre Dame, like I just said, they've had to do that. Penn State, they've had high-stakes games. They haven't had rosters on the same playing field as them. Does that give Notre Dame an edge? Does Notre Dame potentially get a little bit of jump on Penn State in the first half and kind of make things a thing where Notre Dame is able to play with the lead? That's also massive here because the conversation around the Notre Dame offense is intriguing, going back to the burgers and fries and kind of simplistic discussion. Notre Dame with a lead is right where they want to be. Notre Dame wants to keep you at arm's length, throw some haymakers, and just have that be the way that they get down. They don't want to play the game where it's like, okay, we've got some MMA going on, we're trading jabs, we're trying to chase you around this ring. That's not the game Notre Dame wants to play. So if they go down 10, if what I just said is not true, and the Notre Dame resistance actually doesn't play a factor at all, and Penn State gets up 10, then you start to go, okay, Notre Dame, we got to find a way to create something downfield, have a little bit more juice. Jordan Faison, let's go. Jade Greyhouse, let's go. Mitchell Evans, here we go. That's the discussion that I think would be had for Notre Dame. Not saying they can't do it, because what I saw last night in that Sugar Bowl from Notre Dame, there's nothing I'm saying Notre Dame can't do, but I do think there's a style that favors Notre Dame, and that would not be the one. So all that's to say, I cannot wait for this one. You got 2 head coaches that will have their first national championship appearance. Whoever wins this game between Marcus Freeman and James Franklin, I'm fired up, man. Fired up to hear what y'all think about this one. Again, get at me on the socials, Instagram, Twitter, at JD PicKell. Also, most importantly, subscribe to the channel because our game prediction will be on here for you probably Tuesday. All right, so lock in for that live show. We'll have a good time. Appreciate y'all, man. Love y'all. Going to keep this party rolling, and we will see y'all next time.